Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's weekend crazy frivolity, our broiler chicken show. Woohoo! Little less structured, a little more casual. Frankly speaking, I don't know how long I'm going to rant on here for today. And really what I often suggest to people is maybe throw me on like 2x speed if you're watching later on. It makes skimming through my crazy rhetoric a little more manageable. I think we have a pretty good time, and I noticed that there's a few people in the lounge here. So, feel free if you have questions to not only, type your questions in the Hangout window here, but I do see like people are popping on over to the YouTube page. There we are. So if you're over on the YouTube page, there's a few people over there. Maybe Tom, when you hear this, type something in the lounge there so I can see you. So if you do have questions, yell out there. Probably the best way to for us to interact here is if you have something you want me to look at, pop into here and just type it in. Anyway, welcome back to the frivolity. Obviously, there's a heck of a lot going on in Bitcoin land right at the moment. Both fundamental drivers are pushing price all over the place. But also technically, we're seeing some interesting action developing. I think, we've been talking about megaphones for quite some time now. So seeing these megaphones play out, number one, it shouldn't surprise any of our long-timers. In fact, Raf, do you know Greg Pop? I think I seem to remember that you know him. Maybe it was somebody else. Does that name sound familiar? No? Pop? He went by the name Greg. I know a lot of my Eastern Europeans, they all seem to have known him. He was a pretty popular guy. Anyway, he was in the school. Thanks, Sen. I see you. He was in the school a couple of years ago. Anyway, he absolutely fell in love with expanding wedges, what we call megaphones. And the reason why is because this setup in particular can produce some pretty honking big trades. So, we've been humming and hawing about this megaphone now for probably, gee whiz, it's probably been a couple months here. We've been talking about it, and this is often what happens in trading. Remember when we went through the euro topping process? We started talking, early midsummer about the euro coming into a shorting location. Then we watched as the double tops started to form and the divergences. And then we saw head and shoulders come in, and then we saw price breakdown, and gee whiz, what a shock. Well, same sort of thing here. The irony of it all is that just even just even in the summertime, we're amusing about, $1,000, $2,000 Bitcoin. Price goes zooming all the way up to $7,000, $8,000 a coin. And people don't expect that we're going to have some back and forth here. And guys, come on. When we look at our weekly price charts, right, remember, institutional players reload zones. This isn't rocket science. They're all long from down here. So at these levels, this is just gravy for them. And then there's also two guys. Let's call a spade a spade. There was a guy in the public who, very vocally told you exactly how much it cost for him to make one Bitcoin. I think those numbers were inflated. But the long and short of it here is they were much, much lower than where current price is. So we have to understand that the price of this asset, regardless of whether it's here or here, we are substantially higher than where the cost of production is. I see people joining the Hangout. Not a bad idea to throw yourself on mute when you do. Thank you very much, sir. Benjamin. Benjamin's quick on the trigger. No, you don't want to piss Benjamin off. What was the name of that cartoon? The tire guys that you like to follow? Anyway, Ben's icon is that's a cartoon I remember from my childhood. That's all. Yeah, BC. Anyway, the point of the matter here is, seeing price come back down here, even on this weekly chart, shouldn't be shocking to anybody. And if anything, those people new to crypto, new to trading, and we're like, Brian, I need Bitcoin to buy the alts that are bottoming here this season, and I suggest you just put yourself on a dollar cost averaging regime where maybe you bought a little bit here, but now you're buying a little bit here, and your average is going to be just somewhere in here. And ironically enough, this is the irony of all of this, is those people that did that, they actually are rooting for lower prices so that price does go down and their average buy price for Bitcoin actually falls. So in a weird sort of way, those people that are investing and put themselves on dollar cost averaging programs, they actually are cheering for lower prices. So if anything, consider this. And ironically enough, this is the only business, and it drives you crazy, when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. I am going to make a comment, though, which kind of concerned me a little bit. I do, please understand, everybody, I can't be on my post 24/7. I do have to have some downtime. And usually on Saturdays, I have one class that I have to teach. And then once the class is taught, I usually like to just check out and just sort of unwind for a day. Unfortunately, Bitcoin price went a little nutso yesterday, and I didn't even turn the screen on. Didn't want to know what the price was. Wasn't that concerned. Of course, I'm following all my trading plans. I feel very comfortable. You guys have heard me week after week talk about how Bitcoin was a bit overextended here. And tisk to anybody who was loading up on Bitcoins up top here. That's just, silly. So I was a little concerned when I woke up and I was reading in the lounge. People were saying that we were seeing a lot of very public, FOMO, panic in the lounge in my absence yesterday. So, please, guys, understand that if you build a plan and you follow your plan and you follow risk management, don't risk more than 5% of your money on any one single idea, then technically, number one, down markets are actually good. They're like buying opportunities. But number two, we shouldn't get wrapped up in the emotion of price action. We've made lots of comments recently here about how, it kind of looked like things were getting a bit overextended. So I don't think anybody should have been shocked at the fact that we're looking for lower prices. What I do find interesting about all of this, and this is an interesting chart to show this, is, in very typical fashion, and I felt a little badly because it was like, there's no regulation in this space. So you have to, if anything, this is kind of like the bulletin board, trading bulletin board stocks down in the States. You have to be thinking one or two steps ahead in this game. And if you see price action happening, you have to ask yourself, why is price action doing this? Whose interest does this serve to see price action do this? And it kind of sucked because, the whole sort of SegWit is off, price was breaking out. We had anecdotal evidence that, markets were overbought anyway. And if we look at our long-term momentum signals, we started getting divergences and stuff developing up top here. But what I found really interesting about this is when I just look at this price action here, I hope everybody can see that all that's happened here is they've just brought price down into technically a buying window. And the interesting thing is that's against actually some original market structure where the smart money put the blows in previously. So always be sort of thinking out of the corner of your brain, what is going on here with price action, and try not to get sucked into the emotion of this. And if anything, these kind of wild bars, this massive spike, this is the public panicking and just saying, get me out at any price. I don't care. This was a terrible idea. Get me out. But you have to be able to be professional enough to understand what's going on through this event. I'll try and be a little more active and not take Saturdays off over the next 10 years. But every once in a while, I just have to check out. And what I did see was there were a few of our veterans that were like, okay, we tried to step into the lounge and just, reassure people, don't get sucked into the FOMO. But ironically enough, in this game, the FOMO actually is, in a weird sort of way, I think it's kind of engineered. They create price action like this to get you to panic, to get you to say, oh, Bitcoin's over, it's all done, sell, get out, or whatever I can. And then you look back in hindsight and you go, son of a bitch, they got me again. So, right. Okay, so what I also thought was really interesting about current price action, does this number jump out at anybody? 6180. Does that number at all mean anything to anybody? And this is where it gets just freaky. Actually, yeah, that's interesting. 6.18, eh? Isn't that interesting? I never even realized that. So that's another thing. So I didn't even see that, Wayne, but what I thought was really interesting about price action here was this 6180 area, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is we're just basically sitting right on another goddamn Gann angle level. Or actually, excuse me, Gann square of 9 level. And I found it very interesting how they slammed it into this level and now they bounced it off of here. So yet another sort of reason. And, guys, I remember talking to you, especially new people to the site that are still new to trading. I specifically talked to you guys about this last week in the videos. We said that if we lose this low, what should we be thinking? Who can answer me? 2 words. Both of them happen to start with the same letter. Look left. Thank you, site participants. And sure enough, look where they bottom the market, right into the previous lows. So as price is dumping into here, you should be saying, okay, well, I can see exactly what they're doing. They are literally backing price up into where they bottomed the market before. I thought it was also interesting, too, all level oneers, you should have seen this, and of course, site veterans and all that, should have seen this level coming, in your sleep. 38.2s are, this is the reason why I like using 38.2. Does it make sense why, just from a pure fib standpoint, why the market went doink and has bounced back up? And this is basically everything that I teach on this site. And what you should have seen happening here is, what do you think, guys? Was there a little bit of emotion in price action last night? Did anybody get slightly emotional about something going on in this space? Anyone? You had heaps, but not from price. Okay. Well, there was this thing called Bitcoin Cash that went a little bit nutso yesterday. Maybe you guys didn't see this, but I could definitely feel all of the emotion around this. It was quite shocking. The interesting thing about this is we should really just take a sort of workman's approach to this, in that, and I tweeted this out, and if you were watching this later on, this is kind of a funny tweet, and it was funny to see sort of the public's response. But I put out this tweet earlier. I might argue that this was nothing more than a trade. Again, let's, put the emotion aside. We can always come up with fundamental drivers for stories. And I think that we had sort of, Bitcoin FUD. And the worst part about this space, guys, is number one, there's nobody has to tell the truth here anywhere. And number two, and I don't know why it is, but on balance, the crypto community is an extremely arrogant community. I mean, it's incredible how opinionated these people are and how they'll literally go to the brink to defend their various opinions. It's a bit shocking, to be honest with you. And, you know, when I look at a chart like this, what do you think, guys? Is this kind of growth rate sustainable when price goes zooming all the way up here? Do you think this is natural growth, or do you think this is quote unquote FOMO in its most perfect natural form? Does that make sense? If anything, this is when you see this kind of action, you have to look at this and go, wow, the public sure got played here. And we just had our sort of team meeting, and Payman was suggesting to us that there may actually be like fundamental events that kick in here that is actually going to drive this thing's price down. How ironic, eh? Well, the great part about it, you know, guys like you, Raf, is that you are now knowledgeable base, and I saw quite a few people in the lounge. It was just beautiful to see. They were just like, woo, we got 3 doubles off, I'm the man, look at me, right? And that's what I want to see, right, is that we're going to flip this equation around. We're not going to get sucked into the FOMO, right? And we're actually going to frame our behavior so that we force ourselves to act when there really isn't a heck of a lot going on. And when the public starts going nutso, we're ringing the register. I mean, that's what, you know, being a professional trader is all about. What's it going on here? Change Society says, it's funny, the most hated coins pump most. Learned my lesson last time. XRP. Yeah, XRP is a nasty one, eh? All right, so lots of interesting comments people are posting in the lounge. But seriously, guys, and everybody watching this video, right? I'll even take this. I tweeted it out, so by all means, if you just follow the tweet, you can get it. But seriously, and I'll put it in the lounge. I mean, if you want to make money at this game, right, this is what it's all about. The interesting thing is, what do you think the odds are that if we looked at this kind of action, we might see divergence? I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts without even looking at this. There was probably signs of divergence in here. But just simply put, trade location, wait for the W to come in, rock and roll. And, you know, if you can approach that kind of, you know, speculating in the market from this perspective, you're not going to get wrapped up in the nonsense and the politics of all this. It's just another trade. And the interesting thing is, through all the politics of this and through all the BS, traders, I think they got paid pretty well. What do you think, guys? Did anybody here make any money off of this move? I think I saw a few people on the lounge said. There you go, Jamie. In fact, actually, I've been noticing Jamie, and you know, hats off to him. We were talking about in the lounge. I think just like I did that interview with that gentleman the other day, Carpe Noctem or whatever his name was. I think I'd like to do an interview with Jamie because I am just so impressed with the evolution of Jamie. Hats off to you, dude. You're rocking it. And the cool part about it too is that he actually put in the time and effort. It's beautiful to watch his evolution. Okay, so what am I thinking sort of the short term? I don't really like the fact that they put in this big old tail here. I would have preferred, to be honest with you, that we had just a nice big ugly red candle dildo close low, kind of like this, open up, and then a nice big juicy body reversal. If this was, quote unquote, the low, that's what I'd like to see, which concerns me because what I also see too is we sort of had this dueling, what the hell's going to happen in this correction? You guys remember in recent videos, I sort of showed you this. And, you know, I put all these tweets out. I tell the public, I don't know, nobody ever listens to me, but oh well. We seem to be in these sort of 30-bar window rally windows and then 52-bar correction windows. And, you know, this correction here, we actually face ripped down, then moved to new highs, but ultimately made the ultimate low at the very end of this correction window. In this correction window, we started here, again, face ripped down, but real nasty tail, rally back up to new highs, and then a really nasty meltdown, but you see those big old candle body lows marking the bottom there. And then we sort of climbed our way back up through the end of this session. What's interesting is you notice price basically finishes and ends the consolidation window at just about exactly the same price. So you can see we entered this consolidation correction window right up here. And the question was, do we face rip straight down to the 50% rule, which both of these markets had to do? Or do we chop around and ultimately do that 50% correction? I think we got our vote. Sure looks to me like the market told us in glorious Technicolor, bang, right back down to a 50% level. The problem that I have here, though, so I'm thinking it's more like green scenario here. And the problem that I have with this, of course, is that we actually ended the green scenario at these lows again. Remember I said that big old wicks and tails like to be eaten. Clearly, this looks to be some sort of psychological low area on price. And I'm kind of thinking here, guys, I know it sounds crazy. Oh, maybe the chart comes back. But I actually wouldn't be surprised. Keep in mind we have that CME event. And looking at this chart and that crazy, where is it? One of these charts. One of these charts is not like the other. They're around here somewhere. I think actually it was over here. Here we are. CME event coming up. Wow, I sure saw and heard a ton of panic FUD come right down into a GAN square of 9 level, right into a reload zone. And if anything, like I said, the CME event here is on the 14th. So that is right there. I don't know how this is going to play out, but we often say that these markets like to put in tops and bottoms through Tuesday, Wednesday, London kill zones. Maybe we come down, test these lows through that event. That literally gives all the big boys the opportunity to load up on the long side when the contract first lists at the lows, and then we start the counter trend rally process working our way back up. And if anything, the fact that this is a V top here, right? You see how we went straight up and then we just sort of consolidated, but just in essence cascaded our way down. What that tells me is get ready for the counter trend rally. It's coming. You know, we'll probably, what do you think the odds are that 38.2 is like basically where we are right now? I'd say pretty good. Yep. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's hilarious. So just like on the downside, don't short Bitcoin before 38.2 is resolved. Isn't that interesting? The dead cat bounce was exactly to 38.2. That's incredible. Can everybody see that? I don't know. Can anybody see that? That is shocking. I mean, if you're not a fan of Ray Burchett before this demonstration, holy crap! I think you got to be after this. So dead cat bounce right into 38.2. My hunch is, you know, I wouldn't even be surprised if this is 38.2 going back down. Yep. So you can see we're sitting basically right at 38.2 right now. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe through the kill zones this evening, we see a nice dip against these lows. Candle body lows right down in there would be 78.6 off the higher time frame. So let's really keep an eye and see what kind of fanfare there is through Sunday's evening tonight. I got a funny feeling you're going to see something like this. So I'm going to keep that on the screen. Let's see what happens through tonight. But I got a funny feeling when we do our daily brief, we're probably going to see prices acting something like this. Okay, so there's Brian's sort of rant. I hope that helps you a little bit. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here. And if anything, that's interesting that Garrett mentioned roller coaster. What I do see definitely, and I kind of make fun of it with the public, is, that gentleman that we had on, Josh. I think this is a perfect tweet, right? Begun the blockchain wars have, right? And that kind of, great Yoda voice, Brian. But I definitely think we're in this kind of environment now. And I was putting out, I was chatting with my buddy on here, Zoinky, where, I actually think that, I think we can make the argument that really this was pretty well telegraphed. You've heard Brian squawking for the past couple of weeks that something was going to break here. It's just really a question of, not really a question of if, just really more a question of when. And actually something I wanted to mention before we head into your ideas. I do see that there are names that actually are putting in really good looking bottoms through this. I asked Payman, in our weekly meeting, how does a name like this fare through this? And not much in US dollar terms yet. Maybe this is more just a play on Bitcoin being too expensive. I do like the ideas, just you could buy the double bottom if you want. But I do love the ideas when you do fibs off of this, the Kavark levels, they seem to line up nicely with this tail down in here. So you could always work bids. But I guess the point that I'm just trying to make is that I think that there are opportunities in all of this. Because there are so many names and there's so many interchanging parts, kind of like what we showed with the BCH chart there a moment ago, there are going to be tons of cross currents here, guys. So the key here, of course, is to be flexible, right? Build plans so that you always have some powder dry. Keep an open mind when you make your bets. You don't have to bet the farm. Get doubles, bang out free positions, throw them on the pile, on the stockpile, move on to the next one. That's the kind of environment. If anything, guys, this is a trader's paradise here. The buy and hold people on Bitcoin, they're probably going to go through a couple months of shit here. They might see slightly higher prices, maybe like 8,500 at best. Remember, little old lady, she's got her order up there. If they bought in the 7,000s, they're going to feel all proud of themselves for 10% returns. But, guys like us, we should be in here. And somebody even posted in the lounge, which I thought was a great commentary, said, I don't mind so much if Bitcoin is up or down 30%. If I can bang out 2x, 3x, 4x on my little altcoin trades, what the hell? Why not? So keep a sharp eye. There are opportunities out there. Don't feel as though that you've missed the boat. The key here, though, is you've got to identify trade location. You've got to identify things like divergences. Got to identify these structures. And when they come in, you've got to pull the trigger, just like that BCH. Not many people were talking about it 2 weeks ago when that double bottom came in. There were some people, I'll give a hats off to Payman. He was in there in the lounge saying, hey, guys, pay attention. And, of course, on the site, we got a bunch of people who made money on the trade, so you can't say that, people weren't talking about it. And if anything, this is a fantastic analogy of why I built the little members lounge to begin with. So, yeah. Okay, let's finish off today's sort of chant, and I hope my rants here help you guys. That's the intention here. Was watching, we were sort of joking in our team meeting about this Bitcoin gold and whether it was going to have some sort of influence on price. I don't know whether it is or not. Anyway, maybe the fact that Bitcoin launched, I can see BCH here's caught a little bit of a bid now. I don't know. Do we even have a symbol of this BC gold yet? Does it even exist on any of these exchanges to trade? I don't know. Any of you guys know? Just let me know. Let's see. What else can I help you out with here while you got me? Suppose we probably should. It's interesting. Somebody posted in the lounge earlier. Brian, you ever heard of this trend line breakout system trade? And I was like, no, I'm not that familiar with it. But I said, articulate the setup, and if I can find 3 realistic reasons to justify the trade, and stops are identified and risk reward levels are identified, I'll be more than happy to learn new setups. I'm always learning. So sort of working away on this. Somebody posted in the lounge earlier today. Well, we'll see how this thing goes. I know Julian really likes to work with trend lines. All right, so maybe let's just go take a look at some of your ideas. Anybody remember where we left off last? Voxy. I seem to remember we talked about Vox 3 days ago. Anybody remember? Change side, but you're right. Majority of the world, unfortunately. No, nobody's going to help me out here. We did Vox. Yeah, I know. I seem to remember we did Vox. All right, well, we'll start at REP. Let's see what the hell we got here. REP. Yeah, you know me. Are we, and actually this is a good commentary. Let's first look at US dollars. So versus the US dollar, still a bit expensive, eh? I could very easily see this thing relative to US dollars have to come all the way back down there. Which means something like that. Oh, not quite. All these tails down here are not filling me with a lot of confidence, especially that tail right there. Yuck. Some interesting tails in here. The good part about, you can see the volatility in price. You might 13, 22. Well, there's 26. So people who bought this 13, they got doubles off here. So it doesn't surprise me to see the volatility here working. But value, yeah, it sure looks to me like down here is probably where you want to hunt. Internally, don't see a double bottom in OBV just yet. MACD, trying to. And we're not stupid yet here. So I could see the traders, banging out doubles, all that kind of stuff off lower time frames. But value investors think you got to wait till down here. It's kind of a shame. Oh, boy, yeah. So if we lose the POC here, oh, boy, there's a big old vacuum here. Well, that's not so good. Relative to Bitcoin, what you probably are going to find with a lot of these is versus Bitcoin, yeah, it's low. So if Bitcoin has to go through a consolidation and have to come down in price, but this thing just sort of bumps along sideways, does it make sense that that'll clean up the rep versus US dollar chart? So this is probably the kind of thing I would be expecting over the next while. That versus US dollar chart, you saw the price volatility in there though. And so, down 10, 11, $12. Can you get doubles off on moves backs to 26? I think so. So, relative to Bitcoin, does it make sense? I can see a little, it's actually a bull divergence. I can see a W in and Willie. Whoops, what am I doing here? Slow down. All right, what the hell's going on? There we go. I can see a rally that's trying to develop. If anything, this is a great analogy of value low. You know, if we can get back into value, then odds are we're probably going to test back up here. But you can see this is a brick wall right now. So I would be shocked if we get up through here anytime soon. But if we do, bing, big jump up into here, consolidate, accept back into value, then away we go. For the time being, I think you're probably going to run into a lot of resistance up in here. So, yeah, nothing really to write home about. All right, who's next? NXC. All right, versus dollars. I gotta like kind of getting into the habit of doing this because then at least it keeps us honest. Whenever you have this ICO bar, I seem to notice that it really messes up the profile. So I tried to do everything without that first bar. So there's the distribution. So you can clearly see we're getting below value here. That's attractive. Coming up against some kilos. That's attractive. Don't like the fact that we're emming here, though. That's unattractive. Failure here on OBV, unattractive. You can see that money was flowing into here on this event and then just stopped on a dime. So a little worried that there was maybe like a new product launch or something like that. You can see they took it up to the top of value and it got whacked back down. So, you know, the fact that it's losing these lows, not encouraging. We would ideally like to see WE action. So I don't really see a big hurry here. MACD kind of soft, Willie kind of soft, and like I said, we just had this volume failure, so a little bit concerning here. Not really anything to get too excited about there. NXC versus Bitcoins. Yeah, same sort of thing. So, you know, you can see we're trying to come into a bottoming zone. So what I see probably here, Bitcoin goes soft for a bit. This thing just goes sideways, and that'll clean up the US dollar chart. If anything, profile looks a little suspicious here. We could see some exploration down below. And again, that would clean up the US dollar chart. Just made, there's that M in even Bitcoin terms, so that's not encouraging. Dead cat bounce. Yeah, you know, I mean, there was a nice little bull div that came through here, which set up these little spikes. I suppose you might have been able to get a double off there and get some free position. Yeah, very close. So notice the lows here, 2,500 area. The highs are basically 5,000. That's exactly what those moves were. So it did generate free positions, free positions, free positions, free position. But on the other side of that, you know, so if you did take advantage of this, I sure hope you got your sell half on a double orders working and filled. Right now, she's back into comatose mode. And also, to remember, guys, here's the end of the year all the way over here. So I don't really, I know I've heard a lot of people going, and I'm shocked. They're like, oh my God, we're going to miss the fucking rally's going. We're going to miss the whole goddamn rally. And I'm like, wow, what the hell? Slow down. There's nothing going on here. Well, you know, again, this is sort of speaking to kind of what we saw out of Bitcoin last night, Wayne. You're not alone. I'm seeing a lot of people really anxious. I don't know whether, is there a full moon or something right now? Something just is going on. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I don't see anything for us to be, you know, here example. I don't see anything that's telling us that, oh my God, this is a new bull. Now, I will mention one coin, which I was very pleased to see because I do believe that this is an excellent leading indicator in the space. One coin is coming to life here. It's interesting how we drew this AB equals CD, and lo and behold, look where we stopped. That's funny. Whenever I see that, that kills me. But the point of the matter here is it's fantastic to see this kind of action. Look at this volume pouring in here. I thought it was really cool the other day. Jeremy is keeping a really close eye on inflows into the USDT. And he seemed to notice that whenever USDT gets a big old inflow of money, it usually is going to be spent. And what I noticed is I don't know whether money is really going into Bitcoin here. I get a sneaky suspicion that a lot of money is going into other names. And so the fact that this guy broke out to new highs in US dollar terms, that's great to me. That tells me that I think that this space, and this has been my theory all along, is I don't even think that it's actually healthy that this space grows vertically through one name. I think it's much healthier and much more sustainable if this space grows horizontally through a whole bunch of names. And that's sort of what I'm seeing going on here. It's great to see. It fills me with a lot of encouragement. And of course, considering our strategy and our approach, how do you think we're going to do if this space does grow horizontally? A guy like Innie, oh my goodness. The cool part about it, Innie, is that next spring, Innie will have his maximum orders built out on BitRX. And then in like a week or two period, those open orders are going to go down to probably like maybe 300 or 400 open orders left because he's just going to get fills coming out the yin yang from like a million different directions. So I like this. This is very encouraging to me, right? This says that and this is what I believe, is that this space is growing horizontally. It's not just growing vertically. And also, too, what I found interesting about that little XCP thing that I'm interested in is that if I understand correctly, these guys, they do well off of just look at Bitcoin, just do your thing and be your thing. We've built our whole business, our whole platform off the idea that we're going to leverage you. So again, I would actually prefer that this space grow horizontally, not vertically. I got to tell you, man, that's one hell of a fucking bottom there. Excuse my French. Okay, how'd we do on the list? Oh yeah, we were looking at that NXC. If anything, just be patient, right? Just wait for the W's to come in. Pick your coins. Pick the list of names that you like fundamentally. Just wait for the double bottoms to come in. Okay, where were we? XPD. Why did I not see that? Palladium. Interesting. There's a coin called Palladium. XPD. XPD. Not quite sure what we're going for there. Did I do that wrong? XPD USD Palladium. Any idea what he's asking for? Crypto peeps. Jeremy, are you here? Oh, not here. Anyway, we'll move on. Actually, Jeremy already had reps, so he's already got one. So. Rise. Rise, rise, rise. Let it rise. All right, let's see what we got. Wow, sure like the money flow here. That's good. Don't like the fact that it's decreasing, though. That's not good. I mean, on balance, you're not chasing the market here, which I like. There's a good old line in the sand. You can see the hell of a battle they're putting in here. Can I hold the line in the sand? Here's actually probably a really good example that I think on balance, this thing you'll make money out of it, next spring easily up into here. But maybe be a cheap ass and just, be like Brian. Just work your stink bid down in this area and see if you can get lucky. Right? We'll get some sort of rage quit. I hate you all. You're all losers, right? That kind of thing. And dumps into this and fills this notch in here. And then you're ready to rock and roll. That's sort of the way I'm looking at this right now. If anything, I don't like how violent this bounce is. That was too big of a bounce. We really want to see a nice saucer bottom to believe that this thing is, solidly put in a bottom here. So if anything, like I said, just be a cheap ass, just nice and conservative, maybe even work a bid against all these lows. I'm sure if you drilled in through all this, I'm sure there's some price gaps in here you could work bids against. And there's a guy on the site, Joshua, I think it is. He's built like a whole database of price gap charts, which that was so cool. And I know it was floating around the site, so maybe check in the members lounge. You might see that floating around. Be interesting to look at this versus US dollars. Yeah, you can see it is in value here. If anything, it probably looks better versus US dollars. You can see where the floor is. Coming in against some interesting tails here. Interestingly enough, you might even be able to get some doubles off just on this price action here. That's probably what this was here. Gotta love that OBV, man. That is pretty powerful. But you can see even just in the short term, momentum's kind of waning a bit. Boo, it says boo. I suppose there's guys that might take shot bids against these lows here. But if we lose these lows, look left, right? Oh boy, all the way down into here. So be careful, okay? All right. Oh, there you go. Palladium equals MTL. Is that? MTL is metal. Yeah, and aren't they like a pot stock or something like that, or pot coin? Metal. I was interested in this one, and if anything, that Brian Kelly guy, he was all jazzed about, and it's just gotten its lunch handed to it. So it'd be interesting. I bet $5, his NAUT, we're all going to go down with the ship on that one. It'd be interesting. He's not doing very well. Oh, and XPD USD. Oh, XPD is Cryptopia? Palladium metal. But what is XPD? I don't know what the heck. Maybe it's a stock. XPD? Stock? Whoa, what do we got here? Commercial banks, AG, one long, EXPD. Hey. Is it a future? XPD basis futures? Actually, it's kind of cool because the level tours just did future introduction to futures markets, so you should understand what that term means now. I don't know about that XPD. Well, and Jeremy's already had a request today, so but we can look at Palladium. Palladium used to be, the symbol used to be PA1 exclamation mark. Is it still that anymore? Hey, there it is. And the easy way to remember this, you go Palladium, Palladium, you are on the Adriatic. Anyway, does anybody remember what show is that from? No, you got to be a real. Hey, Garrett, you should know what show that is. You got to be a real old time to know what the hell I'm singing there. I'll give you the hint. The correct word is Albania. But I always remember Palladium with that song. Palladium. The vape show? No, nobody remembers that. Let's see if I can find it for you. Oh, but then I'll get in trouble with YouTube and all that crap. Well, I will show you an image of it, and then maybe that'll jog your memory. Let's go. Hey, considering Bitcoin's going to be on the CME, let's use that. So if I go Coach Cheers. Anybody remember this guy? Ernie Pantuzo? Anybody remember him? Anyway, and he, let's see, they might even have the song. Albania song. I don't know if that'll come up or not. There it is. Look at that. It's even got its own, even got his own link. So yeah, I'll throw that in the lounge. That's what I'm referring to when I sing Palladium. Oh no, the link didn't work. Oh, they always do that. You never know with well, I better pause that. We don't want YouTube to get all pissed off. Anyway, see if that links, does it? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Hey, there it is. Cool. All right. So what do I see in Palladium? Palladium sure looks awfully toppy, eh? Everybody's now listening to Coach. So MACD divergence, double D. Actually, James, are you here? James, we should probably be looking at this for a TRI SOF. The only problem with playing the Palladium market is this is a heavily manipulated market. Does anybody know where do you find 90% of all Palladium in this world? Actually, this should be a really interesting question. Hey, you guys, your answers are so funny. Anybody over on YouTube? Where do you find most of the Palladium in this world? And it's not in Albania. Hey, Casey got it right. Casey and the Sunshine Band. So, this is what they would consider a rare earth. It's sort of like the more sort of generic rare earths. There are some crazy generic or rare earths that can command some really high premiums. That's production. The question is proven and probable reserves. That's what I'm asking about. So the point of the matter here is that Russia and internal politics within Russia greatly moves the price of palladium. And Mr. Putin, of course, I think Mr. Putin right now is actually in a pretty strong position. So it doesn't surprise me that palladium prices are high. But at the same time, this is looking a little bit vulnerable. If we do good old 50% rules. In fact, I think James, for the weekly summary, and I probably, Jeremy, did you grab James's chart? James did up a chart on copper, and I think it's sort of the same thing. Do you guys see how 38.2, remember we just saw it in Bitcoin, do you see how palladium could come ratcheting right down to 38.2 here? Totally wouldn't surprise me one bit. And also notice value too here, right? I mean, you can really see 38.2 would be nothing more than the market just coming back to value. So a bit of risk involved in this market. What's really cool is that just off the short term, who can tell me what does this 3-bar candle pattern remind you of? Does that look like anything in particular? Empire, very good, right? So we do our sound effect. Where's Paul? Our sound effects. Okay, we'll give one. If Paul, if you're watching today, here's your soundbite for the day. Dun 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 dun. So you can literally see the potential trade setting up here. And considering where even 38.2 is here, really, oh boy, there's a heck of a lot of risk involved in here. So be careful, palladium lovers. That looks a bit dangerous. All right, so we did the palladium. What time is that here? Oh, Jesus, I've been talking for an hour. I don't know. Has anybody gotten any value out of this? My rant for the day? If anything, at the very least, I'm somewhat entertaining. Somewhat. With that little, then we got the little old ladies over playing canasta. We got Joe Sixpack. Brian, just make me money or else I'm moving my account, damn it. All right, so anyway, hope you enjoyed our presentation today. All right, so why don't we leave it at that? Got to get ready for the boy and give him an awesome afternoon. That's priority number one for good old Brian. Yeah, actually, that is Mr. Bill, eh? Hey, yeah, no, how'd that used to go? Jeez, now that's old. Oh, geez, I can't even remember how the line goes anymore. Anyway, Edwin, it sounds like you and I are from the same generation. Anyway. Okay, you guys have yourselves a great afternoon, everybody. All the best. Try and play from a position of strength, everyone. Let's not get sucked into the emotion of this game. You certainly had plenty of warning that Bitcoin price was a bit vulnerable here. What we're seeing right now should not shock anybody. So play from a position of strength. If you need to, you can see quite a few people PM me. I try as best as I can to respond to everybody's questions. I'll try and help you as best as I can. Our veterans on the site, they're very level-headed. And I thank them greatly for just trying to help you. But just remember, everybody, if anything, this is the one huge, great part about our community. Is if you're out there in public chat rooms, people are actually going to, just for sport, they're going to fuck around with you. And they're going to, play with your mind. The great part about, TRI is that we all sort of are very empathetic with each other. And we're trying to help. When you listen to what we're suggesting in the lounge, on balance, I see that people have the best intentions. And that's really exactly why I built this site. TRI should be crypto without the crypto. So on that note, have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Build your plan. Play from a position of strength. Identify how you're going to act and why you're going to act ahead of time. And then just simply follow your plan. All right, all the best, and bye for now.